Shabbat Shalom. For this is the day that Yah has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. And we praise our King by saying Hallelujah. 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 We bless our King before we pray by saying Bartku et Yahweh. Bartku et Yahweh Hamevarak. Baruch atah Yahweh Hamevarak le Elam Vayed. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher b'kar benu makol hamayim v'natan lanu ha'torah. Baruch atah Yahweh notan ha'torah. That is to say, blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be Yahweh, the blessed one. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah, to our King, our provider, our healer, our sustainer, our Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel. Master, do we come before you today with bowed head and humble hearts, thanking you for all things, Master, thanking you for this day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Master, we ask that you will forgive us of our sins, cleanse us of unrighteousness, O King, that our prayers be not hindered this morning, that you would give ear to our cries, Master, and that you would lend your ear to our supplication this day. Turn not a deaf ear to us, Master, but hear when we call upon you, for we are your people and the sheep of your pasture. For we are Israel, Master, and we come out of obedience today on your set-apart day. For this is the Sabbath day that you have made, in which you said that you made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day you rested, and that we shall also rest. And them that do uphold that mitzvot, Master, would be in a covenant with you. So we are your covenant people, O King, and we are your witnesses, and we come out today as a witness, Master. And we thank you, Master, for all things. We thank you for life, health, and strength, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We thank you for all that are here today and the families that are represented, O King, for we are Yisrael. O Master, we ask that you will look upon those that are not here today that desire to be, whether they be sick in their bodies or whether it be distance, Master, or whether they may have sick families or for whatever reason, but you know the hearts of men, for you made us, O King, and you know all about us. We ask that you would continue to bless us with your mercies, Master, that you renew daily, that you renew every morning, that you allowed us to open our eyes this morning. You clothed us in our right mind, that we should come out of idolatry, O King, and that we know that you are Elohim, and besides thee there is no other. And the only name that we worship is Yahweh. We come before you today, Master, just asking that you would extend your blessings upon us this day as you have all week. We thank you for watching over us and our children as we have traversed throughout the highways and byways. Let not our foot slip, O King, when we see that the evil prosper in this world. Let us not slip, O King, but let us stay steadfast. Let us stay steadfast as your witnesses, O King, and that we shall say in that day when you come back that this is our Elohim. This is the one whom we have waited on, and we serve no other. Master, we ask that your word will go forth today, Master, and that you will continue to supply us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We thank you for all things, O King, and we ask that you will keep us, Master, until we meet here again. This is our prayer.
Read with me, if you would, from Psalms 121. We're going to read 121, 128, and 130 today. Let us all read. If I raise my eyes to the hills, from where will my help come? My help comes from Yahweh, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. Your guardian is not asleep. No, the guardian of Israel never slumbers or sleeps. Yahweh is your guardian. At your right hand, Yahweh provides you with shade. The sun can't strike you during the day, or even the moon at night. Yahweh will guard you against all harm. He will guard your life. Yahweh will guard your coming and going from now on and forever. 128. Let us read. How happy is everyone who fears Yahweh, who lives by his ways. You will eat what your hands have produced. You will be happy and prosperous. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine in the inner parts of your house. Your children around the table will be like shoots from an olive tree. This is the kind of blessing that will fall on him who fears Yahweh. May Yahweh bless you from Zion. May you see Jerusalem prosper all the days of your life, and may you live to see your children's children. Shalom on Israel. 130. A song of ascent by David. Yahweh, I call to you from the depths. Hear my cry, Yahweh. Let your ears pay attention to the sound of my pleading. Yah, if you kept a record of sins, who, Yahweh, could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that you will be feared. I wait longingly for Yahweh. I put my hope in his word. Everything in me waits for Yahweh. More than guards on watch, wait for morning. More than guards on watch, wait for morning. Yisrael, put your hope in Yahweh, for grace is found with Yahweh, and with him is unlimited redemption. He will redeem Israel from all their wrongdoings. You may be seated. We thank the mighty Yah for another day that we're able to congregate and gather here in this house. And I'm so thankful for those of you who continue to come. I ask you if you would be so kind as to continue to pray for Gail. We had a conversation this week, and she's still struggling with her ability to breathe, and her strength in her body is still weak. I asked her if there was anything that we could do for her, and she said to me that you can come and visit, but just remember that her strength is not strong, so her ability to hold conversations long is really quite limited. We can help by those of you who cook and take her some food by the house for her to have to eat. They're struggling a little bit with that situation. So Gail has been my right arm for all the years that we have been in congregation, and she misses so much being here. Also remember Sister Cheryl. Cheryl desires also and misses being here, taking care of her mom and what have you, has made it impossible for her to get here on our Shabbat days. So these are the people that we want to bear in mind, we want to keep in mind as we pray and as we move forward. Well, this is the day. This is the day. This is the right day that Yahweh has made. Huh? And we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Well, we've got the moray coming to us, so let me get out of the way and I bring to you from Sacramento, California, the Honorable Moray Sean Appleton.
My goodness. Yes. Well, no. We're going to keep that today. It's going to be an interactive day. We're going to have like a podcast today.
I need to keep this?
You need to keep that today. Yes. You need to keep that today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Whew. All right. It is always good to be amongst the community of Hebrew Israel, to be amongst the Most High's people, to give adoration to the Most High. I always start by acknowledging who we serve, who our master and king is, the Most High. You might know him as El Shaddai. You might know him as Yahweh. You might know him as Yahweh Rapha. Depending on your situation, you might call him by an attribute that he expounds upon. The one that created all things in 6 days and rested on the seventh day, setting it apart, making it a Shabbat, upon which all of you are participating in. The one that delivered our ancestors from the hand of bondage and slavery out of Mitzrayim. Anytime that the Most High introduces himself, he introduces himself by saying that, doesn't he? He says, hey, I am the one that delivered you out from the house of bondage in Mitzrayim. So to that one who has allowed me to be here today, I thank him and I praise the Most High. Going around the room and getting my dignitaries out of the way. I'm taking care of a mitzvah right now. We're going to go over later on. 2, the ambassador, which, you know what? I need to stop calling him an ambassador. I almost need to call him Moreh Bikum. As much as he teach and will continue to teach. So to the / ambassador Moreh, he back there shaking his head. Don't you say that. Ambassador Beacom, Moreh Beacom, Shabbat Shalom to you today, sir. To Ambassador Tate, Shabbat Shalom to you. I'm going to stop leaving you out. All right? You. Yeah. King Charles. Is that what we call you? To the Ambassador Jones, Shabbat Shalom to you today, sir. To the Honorable Moreh Trey Beverly. What is it? Yahweh Heals 11 on YouTube. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Yeah. All right. To you, sir, Shabbat Shalom to my Moreh. To the head Moreh of this house, upon one I take instruction and mentorship from. My friend, he's starting to do this new thing before I come up here, which I'll thank you, sir. That was beautiful. Who has given me tutelage, who is leading this house. And one of the things that I love about him the most is that he has the ear of the Most High to hear what the Most High has to say. And not having rigidity and not being able to be fluid and change as the Most High gives increase in knowledge. So to Ambassador, the Robert Honorable B. Holman Jr., my Moreh, Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. To all of you that are joining us by way of the stream, Shabbat Shalom to you. To those faithful that continue to keep coming back. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Kenya. I'm looking at you. What's this brother from Detroit? Kodesh, Israel. All those individuals that are continuing to show up. Tell Santino I said hello. She'll know what I'm talking about. Shabbat Shalom to all of you joining us by way of the stream. To our descendants that are not here with us now, that will hear these teachings and hopefully stand on the shoulders of giants to see further into the future. Shabbat Shalom to you. Now, y'all done had how many weeks? At least 2 weeks to rest your vocal cords. Yeah, because we back at it. One more again, just to tell you like it T.I. is. So, to my in-house studio audience, those of you of the community of Hebrew Israel, the question I got to ask, are y'all ready to go to the stratosphere? Yeah. Go team, go Israel. Are y'all ready to go to the stratosphere? Are y'all ready to go subterranean? So, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. All right. I'm going to actually do some protocol issues first before I get started. The first thing I'm going to mention, you know how when we was in the old, how many of y'all was in the old church? And we got to that portion of the only one person in here was from the old, thank you. Y'all got to the portion of the liturgy, and this, usually was the church mothers that came up and did the announcements. Y'all got somebody in mind that did that. You got this one lady you remember. She always came up and did the announcements. We're going to do the announcements first. I'm going to need that microphone to be on, okay? That's number one, because we have a lot of good banter between us, and I need that microphone to be passed around. When someone raises their hand, pass it to your neighbor. See, she did one right now. She getting ready to tell me something.
No, I'm going to pass.
Oh, you're going to be the one passing it around. Okay, excellent. If you need to raise your hand and say something or you want to make a comment, make sure you got the microphone, okay? That's number one. We're going to do that. Okay, now, second thing I want to do is I want to announce to all of you that or at least the calendar, if you've been asking about it, is out. It's out for consumption. Now, with the caveat of one particular item that changed this year. Instead of it actually being a hard copy, I elected not to do that this year. I elected to make it a digital calendar. Some people were saying, okay, I want it on my phone. I want to be able to access it because you're going to have your phone on you before you put this in your back pocket, okay, and try to carry it around. So it makes it very cumbersome when it's only printed. Here's the other issue. I didn't make what I thought I was going to make off these printed copies. So the production cost in doing something like this is up there. So I need to get some more orders if I'm going to go ahead and start doing hard copies again. I'm just letting you know the reason why. Maybe a little bit too much information, but okay, here we are. Now, with this calendar, it is the 2026 calendar, okay? So 2025, 2026. I'm going to show you where to go get it, okay? Now, I want to talk about this for a second, all right? There are two camps inside Hebrew Israel. Two, when it comes to this calendar. They're the lunar people, and then there's the solar people. This calendar is a solar calendar. Now, and it's all how it's calculated off of the luminaries that are in the sky, okay? This is a solar calendar. Now, while the website provides a lot of information, I know, and I just want everybody in here to understand, that we do not, or at least I don't, I should speak for myself, okay? And I'm relaying this to you, okay? When we have this dissension of issues about this calendar, we got to keep some things in mind, okay? Number one, the Most High put what luminaries in the sky? The sun and the moon, okay? At the end of the day, what we have to remember is that what is the purpose for us to know what's on this calendar? What's its purpose? So we know when to celebrate the Moedims, when our new months are, when our new seasons begin, when Shavuot, Sukkot, what else? Yom Kippur. All of those ones come during the course of the year. That's the purpose of it, okay? Attached to each one of those things are mitzvot that said what you are supposed to do on that day. I would be in a position to say none of the ones that are on that calendar you can do in totality is outside of Israel. Some of them. Some of them you can't do because they have what? Sacrifices attached to them, okay? So it's not a good idea at this particular point to start butting heads on issues at the end of the day you can't do in totality anyway. You're practicing them while you're in exile. while you may have a strong conviction for one side or a strong conviction for the other side, this is my current declaration. I am not a proponent now for trying to argue just solar. The Most High put 2 luminaries in the sky. I am one to actually try to partner with the lunar folks so we can try to reconcile both at the same time. We've got a calendar right now that does lunar, which is stellar. But the Most High put 2 luminaries in the sky. And we can't huddle up in our individual corners, because what Hebrew Israel needs to do is come together as a community. So this bipartisan way of looking at it to say, okay, how does the lunar calendar fit with inside the solar calendar? Reconciling the two, moving forward. There's another problem that both individuals are going to have, or both people are going to have, sides are going to have to settle up with. Do you not know what year you are actually in? Because right now you're in 2025 AD. Amoni Danomini. What's that mean? In the year of our Lord, 2025 AD, in the year of our Lord. Okay? That's not when time started. So we have to reconcile where we are in the year, in our course of years. Why is that important? Because you have mitzvot that talk about Jubilee years. Years where the land has to rest. Does anybody on either side know when the next Jubilee year is getting ready to show up? No. There's more work to be done, and we can't move forward divided. We can't be a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom trying to debate Hebraic items. We have to move together as a unit. That is not what the Most High asked. He didn't say, when you are out in exile, when the tribe of Dan calls, or when the tribe of Naphtali calls, I answer. He says, no, when who calls out? Hebrew Israel. We need community with inside Hebrew Israel, not separation. And there's a way to do that. And the Most High is challenging us. We can never say we know what's going on with this calendar in totality unless you can start explaining to me years and jubilees, if you're putting them in there too. Resting years. Okay? So we got a lot of work to do. So that's my current position on it. And I'm going to start partnering and doing more things with actually trying to get these questions answered. So hopefully in this next year, you'll see these moon issues showing up in this as we reconcile this calendar. All right? All right. Okay. We on good ground. All right. Let me show you where to go get it. If you go to, oh boy, technology. Is he going to freeze on me? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oh. I'll reload that back up. If you go to HebraicCalendar.com, I'm going to spell it out for you, okay? HEBR what? AICALENDAR.com. HebraicCalendar.com. When you get on that web page, matter of fact, if you got your phones, try it out. Because you do, it's a mobile app as well. If you got your iPads or anything else, your mobile devices, try it out while I'm speaking here. HebraicCalendar.com. When you get there, you will see a tab right in the front that says what? It says shop. Hit that shop button, it will take you to a page where you can go ahead and download the calendar for free. Yeah, can you help me out with that? Where you can download it for free, okay? Now, when you're successful in downloading it, you'll have it on your phone. You can have it on your computer. Okay? So just know that's where it is. Once we get that back up, I'll just take a little segue and just show you visually what's happening here so the people at home can see it, and then people here can see it as well. Okay? All right. Now, not this week, but next week, we have something that's getting ready to come up. Next week will be what? For us that are on solar. For us, next week will be the beginning of your new year, which means it will begin the beginning of spring, your new season. How do you know it's spring? Can you not go outside and look and see the trees are getting ready to turn? You have indicators of spring already, okay? So, official spring will begin Hebraically next month on the solar calendar. New year next week, okay? And it's a Shabbat, okay? And it begins your new month, okay? Because it will begin the new month. Now, next Shabbat coming up, we will be counting 14 days forward to what? What's 14? On the first month, on the 14th day, the Most High says what? Is Pesach. When does it start? In the evening, okay? And then on the 15th day of the first month is the festival of Matzah. How long are we supposed to do Matzah? 7 days is Matzah, okay? I'm not going to do the teaching on it today. I'm going to do the teaching on it next week on our new year. For those of us that are here. Again, I'm going to say it on our solar, all right? With all that being said, I'm going to jump right into this teaching. All right. We are going to cover today Vayikra or Leviticus. What does Leviticus stand for in the Greek? What does Leviticus mean? In the Greek. What does Leviticus mean in the Greek? Leviticus means belonging to Levi. Who's Levi? Levi is one of the 12 sons of Yaakov, upon which where Hebrew Israel comes from. Right? So, we got that. All right? What else? What does it mean in Hebrew? What does Vayikra mean? So, the equivalent in English is what? Leviticus. And in Hebrew, it's Vayikra. So if Vayikra in Hebrew, Leviticus in English. What does Vayikra mean in Hebrew? And he called. There we go. And he called. Who called whom? The Most High called Moshe and said, say this to the children of Israel. Okay? That's where we're at. So we are in Vayikra or Leviticus chapter number, okay, thank you. Chapter number 19. And we are going to see how far we're going to get today. I'll give you a little break here in the middle. And if you want more, I'll keep going. But I'm thinking I might not get to 20 today. So let's take a segue real quick and let me show you where you are with HebraiCalendar.com. Ooh. So I'm doing it just like you are, HebraiCalendar.com. Uh-oh. It don't say I want to go there. Oh, what am I? Let me try that. Step with me now. RAICALENDER. Okay. All right, there we are, right there. So you will get this on the website. Let me move this out of the way. 2025, 2026 superimposed over Gregorian calendar months. You go shop now. There's the calendar, and it says free download. Also, navigate over to the donate and drop at least $500 in there, please. You don't have to donate. If you want to, that's fine. Or you can put a custom amount in there. But you don't have to donate. It's just there to go aid in our effort. Okay? So, but it is a free download, and once you get it on your phone, you're able to rock and roll. Okay? Matter of fact, let's just do that so you can see it. So there's March, which is the month that we're in right now. And your first month is right there. Okay? On the 15th of March, which is our next Shabbat. Okay? Again, for the solar folks. All right. Let's get back over into this. Let me see what we got. Vayikra chapter number 19, or Leviticus chapter number 19 and 20. Okay. Oh, man. I'm going to have to readjust this as I go. This is weird stuff. All right. We are going to talk about these particular mitzvot in this session today. All right. So the mitzvot that we're going to discuss, there are a sundry of them in chapter 19. And if I had to put a category on the majority of them, they're actually going to be mitzvot that deal with interpersonal issues between people. If I had to classify the majority of them that are in there, okay? Also today, if you guys have your reference material, your whatever you're doing with the Hebrew scriptures on your phones or on your in front of you in a hard copy, make sure you have it out because you're going to need it today. We're going to be comparing what you see in front of you to what's on the screen, okay? So just follow along. I'm going to have what I have on, I'm going to be reading and going to this board at the same time. So in chapter number 20, there are going to be mitzvot on not sacrificing your children to Molech. Do any of you sacrifice your children to Molech? No. Okay. All right. So that is a mitzvot that, and this is, I want to draw your attention to something. I got to say this real quick. This is why I love the Most High's mitzvot, because they transcend dispensations of time. Meaning, the mitzvot that were applicable, which will continue to be applicable throughout time, address our state of Hebrew Israel in that particular dispensation of time. There was a time that Hebrew Israel was sacrificing children to Molech. The Most High made a mitzvot to deal with children of Israel during that dispensation of time. There's mitzvot, they're so in their infinite wisdom, can be applied to they reach throughout every generation and they affect us all, okay? Even when we have specific ones like that one, that we don't sacrifice at all. So this one doesn't apply to us, okay? But it did to our ancestors. It says mitzvot on not to turn to spirit mediums. Meaning, if you're going to see a palm reader, if you're going to go see a tarot card reader, if you're going to see all those folks that are out there trying to spiritualize your life, they're making that up. Astrology and all these different other things. Your zodiac sign don't mean squat. Okay? That's what those are dealing with. Mitzvot not to curse. Wait a minute. All right. I got to set some boundaries now. Look, she didn't turn on the microphone. Got to say this now. Okay? If you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. It's the Most High's mitzvot talking to the spirit inside of you that recognizes you messed up. That's not me. That's you recognizing and the mirror of the mitzvot upon which applies to you. So I'm going to present the mitzvot, and I'm going to let the mitzvot do the rest. Okay? Not to curse your father and your mother. mitzvot on adultery, and then mitzvot on sexual immorality. We all know what those are. Okay? That's what we're going to find here in this particular set of chapters. Let's get into 19. All right. Eye asher eye, the Most High Yahweh, said to Moshe, speak to the entire community of Hebrew Israel and tell them, you are to be a what? Set apart. Because why? I, Eye Asher Eye, your El, am set apart. I am like no other El. I am like no other God. I am set apart, and I expect you to be as well. 3, every one of you is to, here goes your mitzvot right here. Every one of you. Some of you, every one of you is to revere his father and mother and keep my Shabbats. I am Eye Asher Eye. You will notice a pattern as we continue to move forward that the Most High continues to keep signing his name at the end of this. This would have been a perfect place for them to put in here, I am Jesus Christ. Microphone check. I know y'all want to jump in on this one. What does it mean to revere your father and your mother? Nobody? Okay, right over here. Whoa. You didn't hear what I had before. What we can do in a microphone. I got to get you the microphone. Okay.
To respect and fear them.
Respect and fear them. Okay. What else? Wait a minute. You don't know nobody that's disrespected their father and their mother. And y'all silent when I ask, what does it mean to revere them? Disrespect them? What else?
Break their heart.
Break their heart? What else? Put your hands on them?
To honor your mother and father as you would honor the Most High. You honor their words.
Right. And I like that next part because it goes right into honoring my Shabbats. Who's teaching you the Shabbat? Your mama and your daddy. Right? What else? Okay. That's good. Because we're going to go through all of these. Now, let's end this one stanza right here. Is this a mitzvot that we can do in exile? Yes. So if you're going to call yourself a Hebrew, you got to abide by this, right? Okay. 4, do not turn to idols and do not cast metal elves for yourselves. Those are gods. For yourselves, I am, signed, Eye Asher Eye, your El. Not theirs, yours. What does that mean? I'm not going to worship an idol. I'm not going to worship anything that's made by man. Anything that's in the sky above, I'm not going to make anything of an image of in the water below as well. Do not worship any other El. So wait a minute. This would have been a perfect place for him to say, Jesus the Christ and Eye Asher Eye. But that's not there. It says whom? Eye Asher Eye, which is the Most High Yahweh. Okay. Now, let's end it off. Can we do this mitzvot in exile? Absolutely. It should be a resounding yes. Okay. Let's move on. Verse 5. When you offer a sacrifice of peace offerings to Eye Asher Eye, offer it in a way that will make you accepted. Now I have to stop. Hopefully you're asking the question why. What makes this offering acceptable to the Most High? There's some mitzvot that are attached and that are around it. Okay? Now, it says a peace offering. Make sure you go back and reference what a peace offering is. That is in Vayikra chapter number 3. It talks about how it can come from the flock or it can come from the herd. Okay? There's a meat peace offering, and then there's also a offering that's associated with peace offerings called voluntary offerings and vows. Those actually have different things that you got to bring for those two. The first 4 chapters, it's funny you was playing this morning. The first 4 chapters of Vayikra deal with all of the sacrifices that have to be made, okay? Now,
Don't forget to mention the English names of what you're mentioning for those who don't understand
thank you, Morey.
where we are.
Leviticus. We're in Leviticus chapter number 1 and through all the way through chapter number 4. They talk about these offerings, okay, that need to be made. And they talk about a sacrifice. So we talk about, okay, when we go ahead and we say we repent for something or we're going to give some type of atonement for what we've done, the pattern is still the same. We follow the same pattern that's in these particular offerings. Meaning, okay, let me ask you a question. Hebrew Israel, if someone, let me just say this. Do you have to accept an apology from somebody? No. Right. Because why? You're looking at the intent of the heart. What do these sacrifices mean? The first thing that we learn about in order to make a sacrifice is you have to have the intent to say, I'm not going to do this again. I go ahead and prepare the sacrifice, and then I offer it to the Most High. The Most High knows this. Because I could be coming up to you and say, you know what, I'm sorry for hitting your car. And exactly, that's the response I was looking for. He's like, yeah, you a joke. You didn't mean that apology at all. I don't have to accept it because I know you're not sincere and your intent is not there. Okay? So again, those mitzvot are there. This is talking about a peace offering, also referred to Vayikra, which is Leviticus chapter number 7, because this goes along with that particular mitzvot. You'd have to know Vayikra, Leviticus chapter number 3, and also chapter number 7 in order to understand verse number 5. So refer back to those. Kind of gave you the 100,000-foot view because I'm going through a lot of mitzvot today, okay? But if you have any questions about that, come ask. Okay, let's go back to verse 6. It says, it is to be eaten on the same day you are to offer it and the following day. But if any of it remains until the 3rd day, it is to be burned up completely. If any of it is eaten on the 3rd day, it will have become a disgusting thing and will not be accepted. Moreover, everyone who eats it will bear the consequences of profaning something set apart, meant for Eye Asher Eye. That person will be cut off from his people. Verse 9. When you harvest the ripe crops produced in your land, don't harvest all the way to the corners of your field, and don't gather ears of grain left by harvesters. Likewise, don't gather the grapes left on the vine or fallen on the ground after a harvest. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. Signed, I am Eye Asher Eye. Let me go back and get the other one prior to this one. We talked about the peace offerings. Can we do that one in exile? No. Why? Because we're not in the land. We don't have the tent of meeting. We don't have the kohanim. We don't have the utensils for the sanctuary. It is one that we cannot do. We cannot observe. And we can't slaughter any animals. Yeah. You got to do it in a specific place. Where do the animals get slaughtered? In the front of the tent of meeting. Okay, very good. Now, this one we just talked about harvesting your crops. Do any of you own agriculture or land? Are you a farmer? And if you were, that would be okay. All right? But you don't go all the way to the edges. It's for the foreigner, right? Can we do this one? Now, be specific. And I'm going to read this to you again I'm going to give you the answer before I even ask the question. It says, when you harvest the ripe crops produced in your land. Is this a mitzvah you can do in exile? No. Why? Because you're not in the land. Okay?
However.
He said, however, you can practice it. Yes, you can practice it. All right? Good. Thank you, Morey. That's why I told you I'll keep that microphone on back there. Next one, 11. Do not steal, borrow, excuse me. Do not steal from, defraud, or lie to each other. Oh, wait a minute. Does this sound familiar? It don't sound familiar to y'all. How long you been in the old church? How long were you there? 40? 30? You weren't there 10 years? About 20? What about you? You said you've been there what? All your life. And this don't sound familiar to y'all. Where does it show up next? Or where is it used? Let's go to Matthew chapter number 19. Christ actually talks about this. We're going to start at verse number 17. Y'all have heard of this familiar story. Matthew chapter, and in the Hebrew, that's Matthew chapter number 19. We're going to be around 17. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. Up. Let's go up. Let's up. Stop right there. This is the story. Y'all know this story, right? Y'all been in vacation Bible school where they said, oh, there was this guy that came to Christ and he said, oh, okay, I want eternal life. And what does he tell him to do? He says, sell all your riches and follow me. Y'all heard of that? Let's read it one more time. It says, a man approached Yeshua and said, Rabbi, which means teacher or instructor, what good thing should I do in order to have eternal life? Let's stop for a second. Does everybody understand what this man just asked him? He went to Yeshua and he said, what do I need to have eternal life? Okay? He says this. He said to him, that's Yeshua said to him, he says, why are you asking me about good? There is one. Who is that? Yahweh, the Most High, who is good. But if you want to obtain eternal life, then observe the mitzvot. I'm going to just let that one rest, and I'm going to be back in the next 5 minutes to let y'all deal with that one. What did he tell him? He said, if you want eternal life, and I don't know why y'all not preaching this in the Christian church, because it comes right out of the mouth of your God. Even he says, and I don't know how you come up with this doctrine now that says that these mitzvot have been done away with, and you don't need to do them. But in order to obtain eternal life, observe the mitzvot. The man asked him, which ones? He said, don't murder. We ain't got to yet. He says, don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't give false testimony. Honor your father. Look, sounds like he's quoting Vayikra chapter number 19. Not that there was because Hebrew isn't broken up into Vayikra, Bereshit, Exodus, all these individual books. It's just a scroll, okay? That's how the Catholics broke it up, okay? It says, a man asked him which ones, and Yeshua said, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't give false testimony, honor your father and your mother, and love your neighbor as yourself. He actually butchers that one. It says, the young man said to him, I have kept all these. And where do I still fall short? Yeshua said to him, if you're serious about, now this is where it gets wild. You should know something is wrong here. He said, Yeshua said to him, if you're serious about reaching your goal, go and sell all your possessions, give to the poor, and have the riches, and you will have riches in heaven. Then come follow me. He's like, fool, if you go ahead and do that, then all right, I know what kind of person you are. But when the young man heard this, he went away sad because he was wealthy. He was like, this ain't even remotely close in being right. Yes, sir. Come on. Where that microphone? He said, please say what I'm thinking where you're getting ready to go.
Then bring it back to me. I'm going to read it.
Where is that a mitzvot that you have to sell all of your goods and give it to the poor?
No, there is no mitzvot that says that at all.
But according to him, you have to do that in order to gain eternal life.
Yeah. Explain it to me. Come on.
And why did he tell him that he needed to only keep those 5 when Most High tells us to keep all the commandments?
Right.
So he's in violation right there.
Right. Now, I want to make a point here. Go back up, More B. He says, which ones? He's asking them. He asked the man which ones, and Yeshua said he gave him these. It's kind of giving him his top 5 of the ones. Now, I'm going to ask you Hebrews. Does the Most High ever, anywhere in text, tell you that one mitzvah is greater than another one? Or one is more important, or one is least? They all have the same value. Whew, thank you. Because I did have a brain freeze. Value put on them. Yes, sir.
Let's read this from the New King James.
New King James. Okay.
Now behold, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good, but one, that is God.
Flat out says it. Okay. It didn't say me.
Now, here's my question. Here's my question with this text. Aren't you purporting to be God?
Yes.
But now you're saying no one is good but God. So why are you calling me good? Obviously, I'm not
God.
God.
I mean. My point in bringing this here was to say that Yeshua himself is not only quoting this, but even in quoting, in quoting this.
Say, did he ever say he was God? No, he never said it, but he never denied it.
He never denied it. Yeah, I'm glad. Yes.
Which makes him culpable. If you never deny something, that makes you culpable in the action.
Right. Exactly. All right. Let's jump back over because it did say do not steal, do not, or honor your father and your mother, do not murder, do not do all of these things. Actually, he's quoting this particular chapter that we're in right now. Okay, let's go back over to Vayikra, which is Leviticus chapter number 19, and we will pick up at 11. We'll reread that one and move forward. Now, before I go on, this is a mitzvot that says we do not steal, we do not lie to each other. Can we do this mitzvot in exile? What? Okay, y'all reading. I like that. Y'all digging in there. Yes. This is one you cannot do. You can do. You can do in exile. Okay, do not steal from, defraud, or lie to each other. 12, do not swear by my name falsely, which would be profaning the name of your El. Signed, I am Eye Asher Eye. Is that a mitzvah we can do in exile? Yes, absolutely. 13, do not oppress or rob your neighbor. Specifically, you are not to keep back the wages of a hired worker all night until morning. What does that say? You get paid every day. There is no waiting 2 weeks for my check. No, we are that. Do you understand how liquid you have to be? How much capital you have to have in order to be able to do that? I work for a construction company, and the amount of payroll we go through on a weekly basis is in the millions. But the mitzvot here says, as we deal rightly with each other, the latter part says that when we hire somebody, we pay them that day. So if you have businesses, I be getting my money that day. You dealing with a Hebrew, and we deal with things differently. He said, I need my money, though. That $5 you owe me, it's at least been 10 minutes, and the mitzvah says you're going to pay me today. I see that sun getting ready to set over in that joker. All right? Looks like you got... Okay. Can we do this mitzvah in exile? Yes. Why y'all slow with that? Yes, we can do this one. All right, next one. 14. Do not speak a curse against a deaf person or place an obstacle in their way of a blind person. Rather, fear your El. I am Eye Asher Eye. There is an analogy you can make for this for every which way of the sun on this one. You know, this is really talking to the idea of, someone... I could even go real off the rails with this one and say, you know what? The blind don't know. And so don't put a stumbling block in front of them. And that could be anything. That could be Christianity. That could be, that could be anything. All right? That's going to hinder somebody. All right? Okay? Can we do this mitzvah in exile? Yes. Okay? Literally, we can do the literal word of it, like a blind person cannot see and you end up putting a rock in front of them just to be funny or whatever whatever sick, twisted way that looks. Okay? Literally, and this can be applied figuratively. Yes, sir. Or do not oppress someone when they can't defend themselves. Okay. Excellent. Good. Let's move forward. 15 says, do not be unjust in judging. Show neither partiality to the poor nor deference to the mighty, but with justice judge your neighbor. We judge on truth, not because of social influence, not because of economic influence, okay? Not because of status. The mitzvot is the mitzvot. Period, the end of story. Can we do this mitzvot in exile? Mm-hmm. Yes. You're going to have to talk to me. Okay? Can we do this in exile? Yes, we can. All right. Good. Very good. Here's another one. 16. Do not go around spreading slander among your people. But wait a minute. Do we all know somebody that's done talked about you? Defaming your name. I'm pretty sure I got some people in here that can attest to that. Your name has been dragged through the mud only because out of something petty and don't probably mean anything and probably didn't have nothing to do with you. Okay. It says what? Do not go around spreading slander among your people. But also don't stand idly by when your neighbor's life is at stake. I don't have to like you, but I'm not going to sit there and let you die. I am Eye Asher Eye. Because we don't hold grudges in Hebrew Israel. That's a mitzvah. We're getting ready to get to that. Okay? Oh boy, here it comes. Do not hate your brother in your heart, but rebuke your neighbor frankly, so that you won't carry sin because of him. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know what? Bro on stage was talking, and I didn't agree with some of the stuff that he ended up saying there. And that made me a little upset. And now I'm on with my feelings about it. I am obligated to go and present an issue to somebody and deal with it. Offering rebuke says if something happens, you are to go to your neighbor or go to your brother or your sister and speak with them about it to resolve the issue. Okay? We don't hold it. Go do what you. If I say that the day of rest is the fifth day, and I stand on this stage, I expect some of y'all to come in here and say, you know what, brother? You said something that wasn't correct. And y'all two ended up doing that to me one day. They pulled me aside and they said, you know what, brother? I want y'all to know y'all did the mitzvah. Brother, what you said wasn't right. So what do we have to do? As Hebrews, what we do, we look, I have my position, I restated it, they restated their position, and then we sought the Most High. What does the text say? Then we will rightly divide between the two of us. Once we read the mitzvah out loud, we all understood it. I was in the wrong. Came back that next week and apologized to all of you because my idea, or not idea, my whole purpose is not to lead anybody astray. I'm doing the best that I can with the information that I have right now. Okay? But go to your brother if something happens and you need to rebuke him. Okay? You don't hold it. 18. Do not or don't take vengeance on or bear a grudge against any of your people. Rather, love your neighbor as yourself. I am Eye Asher Eye. It should have been because, okay, wait a minute. Does that not sound familiar too? It sounds absolutely familiar. Know who said it? Oh, come on, let's go get him. Let's go get him. Matter of fact, I got to tell you this. Before we go there. Christians, because we're going to be in Matthew chapter number 22. Okay? Christians, please remove the book of Matthew from y'all's Bible. Please take him out. He the little child in the room that be telling all your business when the rest of the family come around. I heard mommy and dad. Boy, he says way too much that throws your boy under a car. Especially the first chapter with this whole immaculate conception and Isaiah and y'all. Okay. Here again, I'm going to read the mitzvot to you from Vayikra or Leviticus chapter number 19, verse 18, and then we're going to read what Yeshua says. I need you to go to verse number 37. No, Matthew 22, start at verse 37. But I'm going to read out loud audibly. I'm sorry, I led you astray. I'm going to read out loud audibly what it says in Vayikra or Leviticus chapter number 19, verse 18, while you guys are looking at that. So where are we at? There we are. Go up a little more. Oh, okay. Stop right there. Okay. Right. I'm going to read this mitzvot to you. Back in Vayikra, Leviticus. Don't take vengeance on or bear a grudge against any of your people. Rather, love your neighbor as yourself. What is this mitzvot talking about audibly as you hear it? Don't bear a grudge and take vengeance out. It's like vigilante justice. You're just going around beating up folk. Okay? I wouldn't want you to do that. I'd rather you go and love your brother, okay, first. All right. Now, we're going to take a look at this. Matthew 22, verses 37 through 40. It says, no, I'm sorry. Go back up. We're going to get it. Yeah. There, right there. It says a Torah expert. Oh, go up a little bit more. Sorry. Up. All right. Well, let's start right there. Where are we at? Yeah, when the crowds. That's verse number 23. It says 33. Oh, excuse me, 33. It says, when the crowds heard how he taught, they were astounded. But when the Parashim, which are your Torah teachers, learned that he had silenced the Sedukim means the righteous among them, they got together. And one of them, who was a Torah expert, asked Ashiliah to trap him. How many of you are you familiar with Law and Order? Okay, how many, what court shows y'all like? Court. She said all of them. Keep going. I don't need to hear all this. All of them. In our previous podcast, the Moray said something. He said that when you're in a courtroom, those prosecutors are asking questions, right? And they already know the answer to the question before they ask it. This is a good prosecutor right here. It said a Torah expert. He's a prosecutor in his thinking. Because what is he asking him? He said, to what? To trap him. I already know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask you in a certain way to see whether or not you are astute enough to deal with it, to see if you really, or by your pedigree, are for Hebrew Israel. So I already know the answer before I ask it. It says a Torah expert asked the Siliah to trap him. Rabbi, which mitzvah in the Torah is the most important? I asked you that earlier to set you up. Which one? None of them, because they're all important. We do not have a hierarchy system. Look at how he answers. He says, he told him, you are to love Yahweh. No, that's not the right answer, sir. All of them is the right answer. But he gives him one, which is a good one. I'm not going to say that that's not one that should be held. I mean, they're all valuable. They have the same level, but this is a very good one. It says, you are to love what? Yahweh, your El. Didn't say him. You are to love me? No. It says, you are to love Yahweh, your El, with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength. This is the greatest, most important mitzvah. The second, okay, wait a minute. What did we talk about this morning? Say, when people ask you a question, answer the question. I didn't ask you which two there were. I asked you which one. He's giving him too much information. And when he gives him this second one, he actually butchers the mitzvot. If you are a so-called Torah teacher, Yeshua, and you know all these mitzvot, but you came to do them, fulfill them, not do away with them, then you should know, when you quoted this here, he says, and the second is the similar to it. You are to love your neighbor as yourself. Where's the first part of that mitzvot? There's a piece that goes on the front of that says what? In Vayikra chapter 19, verse 18, it says, do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your people. Now, how many times have you been in a Christian church and they just taught that portion of it? That mitzvot has nothing to do, well, in part it does, but in totality and proper context, it's dealing with not doing any vigilante work against anybody else or holding a grudge. Instead of doing that, I want you to love your neighbor. Give him the whole entire piece of the mitzvah. Okay? And nowhere in text do we ever see here that the Most High said, this is my second most important one. Okay? He would have got roasted. If we roasted him, all right? I couldn't imagine what this was going on in Hebrew Israel when they actually had access to the documents that we don't have access to the Most High, to the sanctuary, access to the utensils, access to all this stuff that we don't have right now. And you don't think that they told this boy? Let's move, please. Back to 19. Verse 19 in Vayikra. All right, I'm starting to lose my voice now. Am I doing too much yelling? I think so. Man, I need to scale it back. 19, it says, observe my regulations. Next one. Or matter of fact, before I go any further, can we do that in exile? Yes, observe my regulations. But the one before it where it says, do not take vengeance on somebody, rather love your brother, can we do that in exile? Yes, we can. All right. Let's pick up. Don't let your livestock mate with those of another kind. I want my mores to be jumping in on this one. It says, don't sow your field with two different kinds of grain, and don't wear a garment of cloth made with two different kinds of thread. Now, if we take that at face value on what it says there, all cotton, all this, all that, that's what the mitzvot says. You got the microphone back there. Come on, help me out. You want to add to this, what's in here. It's this issue of mixing, okay? And at face value, again, I don't want you to make different kinds of livestock together. That makes practical sense. And don't sow your field with two kinds of grain, okay? It needs to be separated because of this cross-contamination that could actually happen there. And don't wear a garment of cloth made with two different kinds of thread. We good?
Polly and Esther?
Polly and Esther. He said Polly and Esther. If we can, I know that that's super difficult for us to do in exile, okay? So this is one of these things where I have to raise my hand and ask the Most High for some grace, because unless we into the textile industry and we doing everything by this, or you can find clothes that are like that, please seek that out first. But according to the mitzvot, that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm just reading the mitzvot, all right? Next, if a man has sexual relations with a woman who is a slave, how many of y'all got slaves? Oh, okay. So right off the bat, does this mitzvot apply in exile?
No, we don't have no
No,
slaves.
nobody has any slaves. Okay. Or servants for that matter. Slaves. Let's keep it to what it says. Intended for another man. Let's stop right there, Hebrews. Something should have clicked. A mitzvot should have went right off. It says, if a man has sexual relations with a woman who is a slave intended for another man. The master is having sex with his slave that's intended for another man. That's considered what? Some type of betrothal, okay? Even though it doesn't say that there, she's already reserved. I want to tell y'all something. You Hebrew women, if we actually live by the rules and statutes of the Most High, you Hebrew women would want for nothing. And I mean nothing. You are taken care of in your father's house and your husband's house. Your husband is the provider for you. And if there so be a divorce, where do you go? Back to your father's house, where you have provisioning is made for you. Why am I here? I have no idea. I had a Robert B. Holman Jr. moment. Oh, that's what that feels like. Let's go back to it. It says, if a man has sexual relations with a woman who's a slave intended for another man, okay? So we got a mitzvot should be going off there. In that particular instance, what happens if he does have sexual relations with a woman that is intended for somebody else? A couple of different mitzvot kick in. They both die at the end of the day, okay? But this is a special circumstance, because this man actually has ownership of a slave. This is not where she's free. She's a slave. Keep that in mind, because the same things are going to change here. Because it gives you basically this is a follow the mitzvot that pertain to actually adultery and actually with the virgin, and if she's raped or not, or whether or not it was consensual, or there's things that mitzvot are for that. But in the special case, this is what this mitzvot is. This is a special case mitzvot. Okay? It says, let me pick up here. Intended for another man, she has neither been redeemed nor given her freedom. So it's just talking about the state of her slavery. There is to be an investigation. Why are we investigating? Did she cry out? Did she not? Was it consensual? Was it not? Was she raped or not? It just says she had sexual relationship. It didn't say what the state of it was. So it says, let's stop. Let's have an investigation. They are not to be put to death because she was not free. That's that mitzvot kicking in that said if you are intended for somebody else and it's found out, you get executed. It says in reparation, he is to bring a ram as a guilt offering. You would have to know the mitzvot on the guilt offerings. Back in Leviticus 1-4, it says for himself to the entrance of the tent of meeting. The Cohen is to make an atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before Asher for the sin he committed, and he will be forgiven for the sin he committed. Can we do this in exile? Absolutely not. Yes, ma'am. Microphone, please. Microphone check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, ma'am.
So, would he be like paying like a bride price to the owner of her or whatever?
Yeah,
like,
it would be some type of bride price.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's going to be a mitzvah that's going to come up we're going to go over, I think, that's going to talk about, or maybe that's even here. Matter of fact, actually, it was a note that I made here. It is kind of when she's sent away, there's a price that's paid. Someone is when he goes and redeem her. If someone comes to redeem her, to say, for instance, he's married to her, he finds something wrong with her. In the instance that she's a slave, if someone comes and redeems her or comes and pays for her, pays like a dowry price or a bride price, then she's allowed to go. Okay? But I don't want to spend this. I'm going to tell you this right here is a whole entire hour and a half teaching by itself. Okay? Because this is a special case situation that happens against some other mitzvot, and you would have to know all of those to apply this here. Okay? So I got a beautiful question, but I need to keep moving forward, okay? Because I'm already looking like I'm getting ready to give y'all a lack of, Lord. 23 says, when you enter the land, already off the bat, is this a mitzvah you can do? No. Okay. While in exile, and plant various kinds of fruit trees, but I want to give you pause, all you horticulturists out there. This one you can practice. This one you can practice, okay? It says, when you enter the land and plant various kinds of fruit trees, you are to regard its fruit as forbidden for how many years? 3 years. It will be forbidden to you and not eaten. In the 4th year, all of its fruit will be set apart for praising Asher. But in the 5th year, you may eat its fruit, so it will produce even more for you. I am Asher your El. We can practice this in exile. When you plant a new fruit tree, let that bad boy grow. For how many years? And then what? In the 4th year, you're going to do what? Take its produce, yep, set it aside. It's set apart for the Most High. In the 5th year, you're going to do what? Eat it. Yes, sir. What if it don't fruit for the first 3 years? You can't touch it anyway. It's forbidden. It's not specific to when it starts fruiting. It didn't say that. Yeah. The fruit. The fruit, you are not touching it for the first 3 years. 4th year, set it apart. 5th year is when you can eat it. We should have been eating off our tree this year, but we did it, and I know why. And that joker has not. Okay. Anyway, I got personal. My front yard, I got a pear tree. All right. And I'm saying that I believe a horticulturist will back me up with that. They will tell you, don't do nothing with this tree for X amount of years. Now, you horticulturists that are watching, please check me on that. But I believe this is right in line with the Most High told our ancestors, what they teach today on what you're supposed to do with fruit trees. It says, do not eat anything. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. I think this is probably like the 4th or 5th time in Vayikra or Leviticus that we've actually heard this, and we're up to 19 chapters. What does it say? It says, do not eat anything with. Okay. Does anybody need an explanation of that? You said, wait a minute, you explain. Okay. Do not eat anything with blood. Why? Because the blood, life is in the blood.
Except you eat my flesh and drink my blood, boy. You have no life in you.
I want you to be a vampire. That's a vampire. Okay? That's what I should start calling them, the vampire. Unless you drink, I'm going to drink your blood. Not even a metaphor or not even an analogy. I don't symbolize this grape juice in this saltine cracker saying, okay, what is that representing? Cannibalism. So I'm not going to sit there and do this. Why? Because I got misfolks like this that says, do not do it. Can we do this in exile? Yes. Thank you. It says, the next one, do not practice divination or fortune telling. So for those of you that look into the stars, those of you looking into your little underarm crystals, those of you that are looking at tarot cards and everything else, okay? No. Matter of fact, I almost want to go and say this. You probably going to slap my hand for saying this. For those of you that are over there across the street telling folk this is what's going to happen to you in the future, praying to some idol god, I don't know if that falls under this as well. Whatever cognition you getting over there that's telling you about your life, I see this in your future. And this in your all that. They are praying to an idol. Divination. That's what. Okay. Because I just want to make sure when I step on toes, I make sure I put that pinky toe in there too. I get all 5. Next one. I am falling victim to this one. I did not know this mitzvah before. I shouldn't say I didn't know this mitzvah before. I never heeded to this mitzvah. I fall subject to this one. So I am in complete, diametrically not opposed, but I am under the subjection of this mitzvah. I'm going to say this next one coming up. It says, do not cut gashes in your flesh. I haven't done that. When someone dies, or tattoo yourselves. Okay? I am Eye Asher Eye. Oh, excuse me. I hear my wife on the side. I missed a mitzvah. Excuse me. Let me go back up. Do not practice divination or fortune telling. Can we do that in exile? Yes, we don't practice that. Next one. Don't round your hair at the temples or mar the edges of your beards. Okay? Anybody want to add to that? My mores. Okay. Can we do that in exile? Yes. Now, the next one. Don't cut gashes in your flesh when someone dies. I'm pretty sure no one in here does that. Or tattoo yourselves. I've got 3 of them. Okay? So I'm out of compliance with this, even though I wasn't obeyed. Now here, we got a mitzvah about that. Woo! I'm glad the Most High gave me this right now. What does the mitzvah say? It says, if a person is unaware of the mitzvah and now becomes aware of the mitzvah, then he or she is guilty. So you can't use the issue of, well, I didn't know before the mitzvah came into my life. I just did it because I was going with the crowd. Now when you come into the understanding of it, you're guilty. Then I would have to make atonement for it. Okay? I see hands going up. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you. Mm-hmm. Don't tattoo, period. Don't tattoo, period.
Why not?
Well, I'm not going to say it.
It didn't say what the purpose was for it. It said don't tattoo.
Okay.
Now, the first part is dealing with something specific. Cutting gashes in your flesh because someone has died. We don't do that. At least I don't know nobody that does that. But then it says, or tattoo yourself. If you want to remove them, I guess you. Oh, there's another one. So I'm hearing somebody. You're reading this different. Is anybody reading this different? Because the question, it goes back to your question. Come on, Moray, and weigh in this. Because I think you're reading it this way. It's this, cut gashes, and tattoo yourself if someone dies. So I can have tattoos as long as I'm not tattooing myself because of someone. Like Joe Smith died, and you got their years on them. Like that's what's typical. Yeah.
The mitzvot, you know this. The mitzvot is germane to what the nations did for on their bodies when someone died.
Okay, so you're reading that someone dies.
Yes.
Specifically
Yes.
for death.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I've been corrected. So this is and in addition to. So it's or someone. Okay. All right. We got it right. So you calling me out on it. Thank you. Thank you for correction. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, that's why I made my initial statement, is not to fall into any of it, but just don't get them, period.
The question is going to be, what's the intent of it? What's the intent of it?
Right.
If the intent of it
is
is
for the dead,
is germane to death, the Most High says don't do it.
Right.
Same point. So it's still systemic to death.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still systemic to death.
So we will sit on this as, this mitzvah is specific to the issue of tattooing for the issue of death because of the intent. I'm going to go out here. Okay? I'm going to go out here outside of the mitzvah. This is me talking. Okay. I'm just not going to get them. Not no more. Again, because I already had 3 before this. Not no more. If somebody had come to me and say, hey, you know what? Should I get this tattoo or not? I would probably advise against it. Because not even to give anybody a stumbling block to say what it's for. You could have got, I'm remembering my grandpa because he liked Elmo. And I got an Elmo on there. It doesn't say nothing about him. It's the intent behind what it's for. And I don't know what these intent of these tattoos are. So instead of actually having a stumbling block, I just wouldn't do it. Okay? I think that's the middle ground.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Because I was going to say, is speaking specifically to cutting gashes into your skin for someone's death.
Uh-huh.
So that's a subject I believe that we can study upon, because then if you look at it that way, then it would be okay to cut gashes in your skin for the living.
For the living. Okay. Yeah.
Which I do not believe is correct, but that's something that we can study on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Johan, and then I got my wife up here in the front.
I also went to dig deeper into this. I kind of stand on this is just me talking on the position that you two are standing in, because when I look at, I went to interlinear. There's a hyphen after it says, do not make any markings for the dead. And then it splits it into a separate, like basically stance. It says, and nor any marks you shall tattoo on you.
Okay.
So just me looking at it, I see it as, okay, we don't tattoo ourselves for the dead, and we don't tattoo any markings on ourselves. I see it as
you said as a separate.
I'm not saying I'm correct, but that's how I would interpret that. Now, if it was like an also, or if it would have said no markings on you for the dead, but it looks like it separates them.
Yeah.
Into two.
And again, I think the middle ground will be, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to give you the impression of what it's for. I don't know what them things are for. And I see him, I'm like, oh, he marked himself. It was just a flower, but that's the flower. Listen, I could go get Sister Mary like butterflies. I could put a butterfly on me just to remember her. Because, again, the more is correct. It's the intent. And I don't know what intent is. So I would stay away from this. One more. Okay. Don't do it, yeah. Okay. Any marks? Again, that's just me talking. I'd be like, listen, don't do it if they came to my council.
Yeah, I think.
Period.
I think that your position of not doing it at all clears the air, so as you stated, it doesn't become a stumbling block in somebody else's mind and eye, whatever your interpretation of the text is.
Right. 100%.
I'm not going to do it.
Right. Right.
I don't have any marks on me.
Yes. See, I told you we was going to podcast today.
Mainly because I didn't like pain.
Because you're tattooed and you're a moray and you're up there in the
Yeah.
museum and they get to hit you on here.
Yeah. How I'm going to do, I'm going to answer the same way. I'm going to go back to what I said with the mitzvot, and I'm going to take full accountability and say, listen, this is how I interpret the mitzvot. I've become, and go back to this other mitzvah that says, I've become aware of it. I am now guilty of it. And given the circumstances upon which it happened. And say, if I was in the land, I would make the proper atonement for what I did. And then the Most High would have to deal with me there. But at least I've gone through the necessary steps as a Hebrew to follow every single protocol to be in line with the Most High. And hopefully what they would see is what my Moreh said. The intent was here.
And there's one additional thing that we must do as a moray in light of what you've just said.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them covered up. Either remove them or keep them covered up.
Oh, that's going to be weird. Y'all going to have to just deal with me today. Throw me under a bus today.
Okay, I have one more question.
All right.
That's my last question for real. So when we go into the land, are you going to have to atone for your tats?
I will have to atone for my tats, yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that's okay because there's a method for doing that. Okay. Whoo! I'm almost there, y'all. This is the good exchange I'm looking for. This is great. 29, it says, do not debase your daughter by making her a prostitute. So the land will not fall into prostitution and become full of shame. That applies here, and I wouldn't do that in the land or out of it. This is one that you can practice, even though it's specific to the land. You can practice this in exile. Okay? All right. I'm going to answer it for you. I ain't going to ask you whether you can do it. Yeah, let me give it to you first. 30. Now. Y'all read that. Keep my Shabbats and revere my sanctuary. Signed, Eye Asher Eye. Does anybody in here need an explanation of that? You shouldn't, because you're here. Okay. Do not. Uh-oh.
Let's bring clarification to that. Keeping the Sabbaths and revere my sanctuary, that piece right there, revere my sanctuary, can have two direct meanings. The Sabbath, Jerusalem is where the sanctuary is.
Sure.
But also, your body is also a sanctuary.
Yeah.
So the application is dual.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, 31. Do not turn to spirit mediums or sorcerers. Do not seek them out to be defiled by them. I am Eye Asher Eye. Who did this? Melech Shaul did it. With two reasons why he was relinquished of the seat of actually being Melech in Hebrew Israel. This is one of them, because what did he do? He went to Miss Chloe, and she told him, I'm going to conjure up who? Shemuel from the dead, so he could consult about what I'm supposed to do about this issue that's in front of me, this conflict that I got going on. He consulted a spirit medium. What does that say? As the leader of Hebrew Israel, you're going to spirit mediums instead of whom? The Most High. So you've already put in place who your counsel is. The Most High won't stand for that. Second reason is he wasn't able to protect the borders of Hebrew Israel. There's a mitzvot on that. All right, let's keep going. 32. Stand up in the presence of a person with gray hair. This brother over here said, uh-oh, I got a mitzvot for me. Specifically for me. Look at that. You need to call upon that and say, now, listen, brother, hey, you are supposed to stand up in the presence of someone who has gray hair. I'm looking at one that's in the back there with the yellow beanie. I'm looking at that one. I'm looking at this one right here. When we were in Africa, there was a little baby. We were in a textile shop. And when we were in this textile shop, this little child runs up to him. And she says, Goka, Goka, Goka. That means grandpa, because she started pugging on his beard. There's one right there, and there's one right over here in the corner. King Charles himself. Now, all that wisdom that's over there, we know that we're supposed to stand up in y'all presence. So we okay if we sitting down. Y'all, I'm expecting y'all to call us out on it, all right? All right. 33, for all the issues about you foreigners, here we go. If a foreigner stays with you in your land. Matter of fact, before I do that, I forgot to do that. Can we do this last one in exile? Can we stand up and in the presence with somebody with gray hair? Yes, absolutely we can. Okay. If a foreigner stays with you in your land, do not do him wrong. Rather, treat the foreigner staying with you like a what? A native born among you. You are to love him or her as yourself. For you were foreigners in the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt, signed Eye Asher Eye. We do not treat foreigners any less or any more than you would your native Hebrew brother. If they have acquiesced to the ways of the Most High, they are entitled to the blessings of the Most High, but there are specific mitzvot for them, okay, which provide them protections. And one of them protections is this mitzvot, and that's from you. Love them. We do not turn them away. 35, as we get down to 37. Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I ain't going to make it. It says, don't be dishonest when measuring lengths, weight, or capacity. Rather, use an honest balance scale, honest weights, an honest bushel dry measure, and an honest gallon of liquid measure. I am Eye Asher Eye, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. Before I go any further, can you do the last one for the foreigner? We're not in the land, right? Somebody want to be smarty pants and be like, no, that's just when we're in the land. That's when I do that for the foreigner, not when exile, because that's what that's specific to. But can we practice that? Absolutely. So yes, this is one we can do in exile. Okay. Now, this one here. Does anybody need an explanation on it? Don't try to tip the scales in your favor. That's another way of saying it. Okay? Or sabotaging some things so you end up with the dub. All right? Cheating. Yes. Okay? That's the application here. Can we do that in exile? Absolutely. Last one. And if this was Christ, he'd probably say, this is the greatest mitzvot of them all. It says, observe some of my mitzvot. Oh, wait a minute. Not 5? Not 2? It says, observe all my regulations and rulings and do them, signed Eye Asher Eye. Okay? That was chapter number 19. Now, I'm an hour and a half in. I could finish 20, but I'm going to leave that up to y'all. I could come back and do 20 next week. Or we drinking from the fire hose right now. Or I could keep going. This brother said, I got one for keep going. But the rest of y'all like, oof. Want me to keep going? Keep going. Okay. All right. Y'all did it. He said, this is Shabbat. We got all day. Okay. Let's keep going. Chapter number 20. See, I already knew your election. You didn't put the screen down already. He was ready. Yahwehs Exiled. That's where you wanted me to go next. So thank you for letting me know what your vote was. All right. In 20 said to whom? Moshe. It says, say to the people of Israel. Who is that? Is that all y'all? All right. So our ancestors are speaking to us. It says, if someone from the people of Israel or one of the foreigners living in Israel sacrifices one of his children to Molech. Okay? This was anybody know who Molech was? Okay, let me show you who Molech was. Molech was an idol. Okay? Hopefully you can see that. Let's blow him up a little bit so you can see old Mr. Molech. This is what your ancestors would do. Let me read the rest of the mitzvot, and then I'm going to talk about Molech. It says, sacrifices one of his children to Molech, he must be put to death. It says the people in the land are to stone him to death. Everybody know what a good stoning is, right? We bury you halfway in the ground, and then everybody comes out and pelts rocks at you. You die by bludgeoned to death. Okay? It's not pretty. All right? And everybody has to participate. So, here we go. He's to be stoned to death. 3, I too will set myself against him and cut him off from his people because he has sacrificed his children to Molech, defiling my sanctuary and profaning my set-apart name. If the people of the land look the other way when that man sacrifices his child to Molech and fail to put him to death, then I will set myself against him, his family, and everyone who follows him to go fornicating after Molech and cut them off from their people. This is a mitzvot, or this is something that we don't even do in exile. Okay? But this dealt at a dispensation of time when your ancestors did. This is what Molech is. Molech is an idol god, and what they would do is this would be hollow, and they would put coals or whatever combustion that they wanted to put in there to heat this bad boy up, and he would get to a searing heat. And then what they would do is they would take their children and their infants, and they'd set them in his hands and let them burn to death. The issue here is that the screams of the children would go up into the heavens to where Molech is. So Molech would hear it. Sacrificing and their offering is the screams of their children. This is the kind of idolatry that your ancestors were in. Okay. 6. The person who turns to spirit mediums and sorcerers to go fornicating after them, that's to follow their ways, doing whatever you want to, even if you're doing sacrifices, I will set myself against him and cut him off from his people. Therefore, consecrate yourselves. You people must be set apart. I am Yoel. Observe my regulations and obey them. I am who sets you apart to be set apart. Can you do that mitzvah in exile? Yes. We are not to turn to spirit mediums. Next mitzvah. We're going to come back. We talked about this a little bit earlier. A person who curses his father or mother must be put to death. Having cursed his father, his mother, his blood is on him. What does it mean to curse your father and your mother? And there was a hush in Israel with all that good talking that y'all was doing earlier. What? Wishing they were dead, saying bad things to them. What? Hitting them. Okay. That's how you curse them? Or I wish you would bop, 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 bop. Is slander in there too? In Hebrew Israel, that is a death sentence. Okay? Matter of fact, you know what? Thank you for saying that. It was all serious till you said that. He said, you know what? I know in every black home that I know, doing anything outside of the confines of what they said was a death sentence. Coming home after the street lights came on was a death sentence. Okay? Stanchion cords and everything else. Death by, what was you going to say? There is no age limit. You said you got grown women, men and women cursing their fathers and mothers. Oh my goodness. Right. So this is what the mitzvot says about cursing your father and your mother. We do not do that. Is that something that we can do in exile? Maybe that's just applicable to the land. No, maybe it is. Maybe is it applicable to the land? No, it's applicable outside the land too. So this one you can do. Okay? Now, if I have a problem with a parent, and I'm going to talk about myself, okay? Because I have 2 sons, right? I also have a mitzvah that says if I say something, they are to come to me and talk to me about it, okay? It doesn't mean that, oh, I'm going to curse you out or do whatever I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? And hope that you were dead and doing all these things that we were talking about. You don't do that. But you do have a mitzvah that says you do need to go and speak with them out of respect. There's a difference between the two, okay? Versus respect and not respecting. All right, let's move forward. Yes, ma'am. You've been raising your hand the whole entire time. We just need to bring this thing up here and just leave it here. Actually, she's been feeding me all the answers from stage left. What was you going to say? Was you going to say something? What you got to say? Come on now. See, Rashawn does the same thing too.
Even if, when you have that conversation, you come, just like you go back to the mitzvot that says, come together and reason, right?
Yes.
You have that conversation. That's the conversation. It does not mean that that parent is going to agree with you or you are going to agree with that parent.
Yeah.
It just means you come together and reason, and then you leave it there. You leave, whatever the resolve is there, but you don't, and you go back to the other mitzvot, you don't have any grudges. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, and when the what turn cold? Yeah, when your heart turned cold, that's a grudge.
I'm being worked on.
You're not supposed to hold these grudges, y'all. I know. We probably have situations where folk done did us all the way wrong. And I would rather not. So I'm going to let the Most High deal with what he need to deal with. Like I said, we see this is beautiful because even today, I'm showing you, I see myself in the mitzvot, and I'm taking atonement for the things that I fall short of. And I think we've all seen mitzvot today where we can say, oh, I see myself in the mitzvot, okay? And I see what I can do to be better, to be in alignment with the Most High, okay? Because that's what we want to be. But nobody's arrived. We always a work in progress, huh? We ain't never professing knowing it all. And I'll never do that. I will take correction. Okay, let's keep moving. This should be an easy one. It says, if a man commits adultery with another man's wife, that is, with the wife of a fellow countryman, what are supposed to happen? It says both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. The man and the woman, okay? Now, in Hebrew Israel, can we have multiple wives? Yes. All the men said yes. There's two things that have to happen. Come on, what do you want me to finish? That's just a simple question. Yes. In this particular instance with the mitzvot, what is frowned upon is, because I can have multiple wives, but if I go ahead and have relations with another man's wife, that's when it kicks in. She's the one that it's built on. She's married to another man. You do not have Hebrew Israel unless you have 4 women. Yaakov had 4 women. Okay? The provision here is what this mitzvah is based on, is on the woman. Okay? Because there could be a situation. Let's say, I won't. There's many ones. These mitzvahs take care of themselves. But hopefully that's clear. Sexual immorality. If you've ever wondered what sexual immorality is, you got to go back and read what? Vayikra or what? Leviticus chapter what? 11? No, 11's where the food is. 11 where the food is. Yeah. Can I share something with y'all? I was going to hold this. Oh, no, I didn't went there. I had a premonition this week about food. My brother has tasked me, and it's so funny that you talked about what you talked about. My brother tasked me, he said, you know what? How come you're not more of a fruitarian person that just eats fruit and just going straight raw vegetables? I said, I observe the mitzvot. I eat Hebraically. It gives me a range. And I can, within that range, I can have meat. I can have vegetables. And fruit and whatnot. And I thought about this issue of light. That I said, why is it so beneficial to eat fruits and vegetables? They're the very things that absorb the most light. I'm eating light. It has to absorb light, have a water filtration system that filtrates the water, sends it up through the plant, and produces a fruit that I can eat. It's a light collector and a water filtration system that provides me with something to eat. I said, the more I consume fruits and vegetables, the more my body has more light in it. Because I'm eating it. I'm consuming it. Right? In the beginning, on the 3rd day, what was made? Light. No, the 3rd day was plants and vegetables, or plants, all seed-bearing plants, trees and all those types of things. Right? Where did it get its light from? The sun wasn't made till the 4th day. It's light. That absorption of that light. That plant has the DNA of the light that was at the beginning. And I'm consuming it. How much darkness am I putting in my body when I eat Doritos? How much darkness am I putting in my body? And it shows, because the more horribly you eat, the worse you feel. When you eat fruits and vegetables, do you not feel vibrant? Do you not feel energized? Where do you think that's coming from? That energy, that light that's in that food. I thought about this week. It's a beautiful thing. Eating is something that the Most High, literally, if you go back to the beginning, it's the first thing we keep failing at every single day. Sin was brought into this world by the act of what? Eating. He told you not to eat something, and you did it anyway. We still ain't got it right. And then when he says, this is my perfect creation and this is what I want it to eat. It's because you said something about light. And I thought about the third day. And I thought about how we eat. And I thought about these mitzvot. Said the Most High doesn't want to do anything else but to make sure that his wife is nutritioned and fed correctly. Okay, I'm getting a little preachy. Hang around you too much. Let's go. Sexual immorality. Let's read all the way down. This is going to go right to the end, and then the Most High is going to give his resolution at the end. It should go pretty quick. It shouldn't have you in here too much longer. It says, the man who goes to bed with his father's wife has disgraced his father's sexuality, and both of them must be put to death. Their blood is on them. Can we do that in exile? We can't kill them, but they are subject to this mitzvah. So it is a violation. Cannot be done anywhere. If a man goes to bed with his daughter-in-law, both of them must be put to death. They have committed a perversion, and their blood is on them. If a man goes to bed with a man as with a woman, this is talking about homosexuality. Just call it out. Both of them have committed an abomination. They must be put to death. Their blood is on them. If a man marries a woman and her mother, you can't have her daughter and her mother. Okay? It is a depravity. They are to be put to death by fire. Both he and they, so there will not be depravity among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, this is bestiality, he must be put to death, and you are to kill the animal. If a woman approaches an animal and has sexual relations with it, you are to kill the woman and the animal. Their blood will be on them. If a man takes his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and has sexual relations with her, and she consents, it is a shameful thing. They'll be cut off publicly. He has had sexual relations with his sister, and they will bear the consequences of their wrongdoing. If a man goes to bed with a woman in her menstrual period and has sexual relations with her, he has exposed the source of her blood, and she exposed the source of her blood. Both of them are to be cut off from their people. 19. You are not to have sexual relations with your mother's sister, your aunt, or your father's sister. A person who does this has had sexual relations with his close relative. They will bear the consequences of their wrongdoing. If a man goes to bed with his uncle's wife, he's disgraced his uncle's sexuality. They will bear the consequences of their sin and die childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is uncleanliness. He has disgraced his brother's sexuality. They will be childless. Cite the exception to this rule. Oh, excuse me. I said cite the exception. I thought it was my note. I'm reading it like it's a misquote. There's an exception to this, okay? It says here, I should have italicized that. It says, if a man takes his brother's wife, it is uncleanliness. He is disgraced his brother sexually. They will be childless. Now, I made a note for myself to here to cite this particular piece. I can marry my brother's wife under what circumstance? That he died and they're childless. If he does not have a child and he dies, then I am obligated to take her on as my second wife. Okay? This whole issue of she's being provided for. You are not on your own. Okay? So, she's provided for, she comes to me. Now, the rest of that misquote that says is if I don't want her, say, I didn't get along with my sister-in-law. She was a If I didn't get along with her, I don't want her as a wife. Check this out. You go to what? The leaders, and the leaders, I'm going to get you. If you come into the leaders, and you bring that to the leaders, and you say, okay, I don't want to be this woman's husband, or she says he doesn't want me, what do? They take one of them shoes and they spit on you. You get a shoe thrown at you and you get spat on. You are to take care of her. All right? So there's an encouragement to have harmony within your family. Because when we're evaluating this young lady, okay, you marrying her? Okay, all right. We'll see what's going on. Because I'm going to have to like her too in case something happened to you. All right? So it's prudent for you to make sure you got harmony in your family. Yes, ma'am. No, well, I would think at that particular point, that's a good point. We need to look into that particular situation. If she dies, or if he dies, and they have a child, then where does the woman go? I would say the first place I would go is send her back to her father's house. And then if she's provided for with her father. And then until someone else, and that's probably what I'd say too, until another suitor comes, he has to talk to the father or the brother.
Yeah, because if we look at the mitzvot that causes the brother's wife to go back to the brother, it's because she was not barren by her brother. And the issue is that her brother would have a name in Israel.
That's very true too. Yes, sir. After the brother?
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
That's what he was making, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Now, I want to, maybe it's maybe not obvious, but I'm going to probably end up doing, after we did these mitzvahs, I'm going to probably end up doing a class on getting to all this information about Hebrew relationships and how they function and how you are to date, how you're to propose Hebraically. But one of the things that we do, I know that I did, and I didn't know it was a Hebrew thing. I was always taught when you go ahead and you want to marry somebody, you got to go talk to their dad. You got to go get permission from the father, which I didn't know that was a Hebrew concept. Because there's a mitzvah that says that the father has to give approval for his daughter to go with this individual. It's a family evaluation thing because there's other mitzvot that come into play. So if you're going to go ahead and propose Hebraically, you need to go and act as a Hebrew. You need to go and talk to that man's, talk to your girlfriend or your fiance's father. And I was always taught that from the older generation, that is proper protocol. Like you literally cannot get married unless you do that. So I don't know if you knew that, but no, that I had to do that. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. All right. Where did we leave off? 22 all the way to the end, and then we're done. We're going to read it straight through. Okay. It says, you are to observe all my regulations and rulings and act on them so that the land, matter of fact, stop, let me do this. Can we do all of those mitzvot that I just read on sexual immorality in exile? Or make sure that we don't do them, Correct. You don't want to become a violation of that. But it is in play in exile. Okay? You are to observe all you are to observe all my regulations and rulings and act on them so that the land to which I am bringing you will not vomit you out. That's why we do a good practice while we're in exile. Do not live by the regulations of the nations, which I am expelling ahead of you, because they did all these things which I detested. Just because, and I would say in exile, that's why we ask the question. These mitzvahs are in play in exile. Just because social norms say that it's okay, don't mean that it's okay for you. All right? You're to be set apart. This is what makes you set apart, are these mitzvahs, while you're amongst the nations, while they're doing everything else. Okay? 24. But to you I have said, you will inherit the land. I will give it to you as a possession, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yoel, who has set you apart from other peoples. Therefore, you are to distinguish between clean and unclean animals, and between clean and unclean birds. Do not take yourselves detestable with animals. Make yourselves detestable with animals, the bird or the reptile that I have set apart for you to regard as unclean. It's everybody, you should know where the clean and unclean laws are within text. It tells you which animals you can and cannot eat. Okay? Rather, you are a people set apart for me, because I am Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, I am set apart, and I have set you apart from all other peoples, so that you can belong to me. Last verse, and then we're out. It says, a man or woman who is a spirit medium or sorcerer, he's reiterating this twice, must be put to death. They are to stone them to death. Their blood will be on them. Yes, ma'am.
Since you had that last one there, are crystals part of that? What you were just talking about? Crystals.
What with crystals? What are we doing with crystals? If I'm using them for some type of purpose to benefit me, I think this is an issue of where the intent, and you're worshiping some other L using these particular pieces. Okay? If I'm using crystals to do some type of divination, it's the intent behind which you're using it for. Because I could use that same crystal to do something else, something.
No, people just say what some crystals mean or represent.
I would have to do the research on whatever they
You know what
were
I'm talking
relating that to. What's the intent of it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. 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 It's what it's intended for. Yeah. But what are those intended for? I could take that same ruby and take it out and go and all that kind of. It's what's in its intent. Yes, ma'am. They'll go through, trying to clear out spirits and all kinds of other stuff and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. Yes, ma'am. I see. Now that's where we're gonna get off on that one. I don't believe that no child is born with a spirit of homosexuality on them. That is a choice that is being imposed on them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. 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 So here it is. Here it is. I'm gonna get you because I know you go. I know you got something to light me up with. Here's the deal. Go ahead. Because it's fresh on your mind.
I don't care if they 1 day old. It's an abomination.
That's where I'm going.
The curses, the curses of the curses of the parents have fallen upon the children because the parents have sinned. And so because the parents have sinned, the children has to bear the curses of the parents.
Well, and adding to that, what does the mitzvot say? It's an abomination. So therefore, we as Hebrew Israel, if we see that kind of spirit, we need to be cognizant of that. Some people have a more softer approach than other people. Some people might be that. Mm-hmm. And the Most High has to deal with that spirit inside of them. That's the intent of where they are. If they are after what the Most High really wants and what is pleasing in the sight of the Most High, that spirit inside of them will work on that. That goes back to intent. If they really want to, They will. And the Most High will resonate with that spirit and work with them on that. Yes.
Since we kind of mini podcasting right now, you brought up the aspect of someone being born that way. I'm in a split decision with Moray Appleton and Moray Bickham. Is that I used to believe that no kid is like born the way they're born, but I have taken the position to say that is possible. But if they are born that way, there's either two things. One, it's because a curse that has been inherited upon them, or two, it's a test. So that's kind of, I'm not going to say that a kid can't be born that way, but if they are, it's because of what, based on my knowledge, the inheritance of those curses in Deuteronomy.
Because the children's teeth shall be set on edge, but one day it shall be said in Israel, what Moray just told me, that one day it will be said that he who sins teeth shall be set on edge. So the children's teeth are set on edge because of the sins of the parents.
Yeah. Look at this. You Hebrew Israelites. Y'all on top of it. Yes, one more.
Jeremiah, chapter number 31.
Okay, Jeremiah chapter number 31. Let's get that.
28.
31:28, right?
When those days come, they will no longer say, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Rather, each will die for his own sins. Everyone who eats sour grapes, his own teeth will be set on edge.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a day when that will transcend to what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
But in this time, our children are subject to what our parents have done.
Okay.
And it becomes a part of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting back to the issue, is it right? No. It's an abomination.
Right.
Most High says it's an abomination. It's
Period,
always going to be an abomination to him.
100%. 100%.
Can they help themselves? No. Not. I mean, here's the issue. Let me come up here.
Yeah, come on. I told you we was going to podcast today.
The biggest problem that we're confronted with is we're confronted with a problem that's germane to this society and the norms of this society. There comes a time in a person's life when you know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. When you come to the knowledge of understanding what is right and what is wrong, now you're in a state of being accountable. And you have the opportunity to do what? Choose. Now, the problem with that is because our society has accepted it, and within my flesh, I've been practicing this for so long. It's a difficult thing to make that change. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to figure out how I can best explain this. It becomes a battle within the person that all their life they've grown up fighting this battle. You understand what I'm saying? It's a battle within them. They've grown up all their life fighting this battle. I don't know where it comes from. And I'm going to, this is in my neighborhood. So I'm trying to tread on it. I'm trying to tread on it lightly. I don't know personally in a family where that spirit didn't exist, how it got in. I don't know. Understand what I'm saying? If you're a family and you never had in your family that you know of this kind of spirit, but people in your family are driven to that and they fight it all their life, and it's grabbed a hold of them, I don't know where that happened or why it happened. Understand what I'm saying? But in our society, people have stopped resisting the fight. And just grab it, well, this is what I feel, this is where I'm at. And they do it. But once again, what is it? It's still a choice. And we get back to text. The Most High says, to him, it is an abomination. I don't like it. So we have to stand on where the Most High stands. Because in the day of reckoning, I'm not human that I'm going to lie, nor am I going to change my mind on my position. You still have the choice. Oh. Ooh. I'm going to stop right there.
I'll take that with you. Oh. Touchy subject. Touchy. Touchy. Touchy, touchy. Yeah? Yes, ma'am.
So
100%. Yeah, yeah. When we have this lack of that leadership quality, yeah. It's a touchy subject, like the Moray said. I think it touches us all. We have people that we definitely care about, we love, that have that. But listen, I know that's an issue because it's a cultural thing for us. But again, today, all the mitzvot are weighted the same. Okay? We don't put more emphasis on one than we do the other one. And as quick as I'm sitting there to point the finger at somebody else, I got three pointed back at me. Okay? You want to talk about somebody in this particular vein and say that they're against or at least defiling this particular mitzvah, but you over here are doing this over here. Okay? So we got to keep our minds right in perspective and making sure that we follow the mitzvahs the best we can. Again, it's getting down to
Let me put this in this context.
Come on.
Let me put this. let me finish this way. In Hebrew Israel, this is not accepted. Boom. What are we talking about? We're talking about Hebrew Israel. And in Hebrew Israel, this is not accepted. You can do whatever you want to do amongst the nations and outside the parameters of Hebrew Israel. But in Hebrew Israel, he says, if you do this, I don't like it.
There you go. Proper perspective and context. Excellent. Oh, see, all right. Excellent. The court rests. All right. Hopefully, you got something today. This is the kind of banter and exchange we love, when we can go ahead and we can talk about the Most High's mitzvot and share them amongst ourselves. Give ourselves adoration and also give ourselves rebuke, because we know we haven't arrived yet. I thank you all for letting me have all this time to speak with you today. I know there was a lot of information shared, so unless the Moray doesn't have anything else to say, I'm going to give him an opportunity. I'm going to bless you. Here we go. Yivarekaka Yahweh ve'yishmareka. Yair panav Yahweh panav eleka v'chuneka yasa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and show you his favor. That's what you want. Let me take a minute for it. Take a second. Can I have one more? Let's want one more. You know what favor is? That peace that says, okay, I see you standing there. You go to the front of the line in front of me. Let Yahweh look at all of you and put you first. Oh, I'm standing in the line when back in the days when we used to go to the club. Oh, yeah, come on. Y'all come to the front. Favor and all that you do. I done told on myself. Y'all wrong. May Yahweh lift his face towards all of you and give you shalom. Until next time, West Coast Hebrews.